Uka was a small village, quiet and peaceful, hidden in the hills of Eze Kingdom. The people there lived simple lives, farming, fetching water, and sitting together in the evenings to chat. Everybody knew everybody in Uka, and news traveled fast. If something happened by the next morning, the whole village would hear about it. But lately, fear had settled over the village. For some months now, young women were being found dead, one after the other. Nobody knew what was killing them, but one thing was always the same: the strange marks on their necks. They looked like snake bites, but nobody could say for sure. No one had ever seen a snake around the women when they died. It was as if the deaths were happening in secret, and that made it even more frightening. The village chief Obinna, sent hunters into the bush to find the snake, but they came back empty-handed. The death didn't stop, and the fear only grew stronger. Mothers started warning their daughters not to move around. Women no longer felt safe. The once lively village became quiet, and people didn't trust as easily as before. But there was one person who didn't seem to care about all the fear. His name was Chibuzo. If you asked any woman in Uka who the finest man in the village was, the answer was always Chibuzo, tall with a muscular body that showed all the hard work he did as a builder. His skin was smooth and dark, and his eyes shone like they always knew something you did not. His smile alone was enough to make a woman weak. Chibuzo had the kind of charm that made women forget their fears. When he walked through the village, the women would giggle and blush, hoping he would look their way. And when he did, it felt like the sun was shining only on them. Chibuzo knew how to use his looks and sweet words. It wasn't just his fine face, it was the way he spoke, the way he moved, and the way he always seemed to be in control. He could make a woman feel like the only person in the world. But behind all that charm and beauty, Chibuzo carried a dangerous secret. He didn't care about the fear in the village. He didn't worry about the death either. He went about his day as if all was well and good. Chibuzo knew he was handsome, and he didn't hide it. He walked around the village with confidence, his head held high and his eyes always searching for his next catch. The women of Uka were drawn to him like ants to sugar. Whether at the village well, the market, or on the farm, as long as Chibuzo was nearby, the women couldn't take their eyes off him. But it wasn't just about his looks. Chibuzo had a way of talking that made any woman feel special. He knew the right things to say at the right time. His voice was deep and smooth, like the calm before a storm, and he always knew how to make a woman smile. Even when she was feeling down, he didn't need to rush. Chibuzo took his time, slowly making them want him. If he wanted a woman, he would get her. All it took was one charming smile, a few sweet words, and before long, she was his. And once he had her, he would take her to his hut at the edge of the village, away from prying eyes. There, under the soft glow of the moon, Chibuzo would work his magic. He was gentle and patient, making each woman feel like she was the most important person in the world. But when the night grew darker, Chibuzo would always ask the same strange question:
do you know the difference between a man's manhood and a snake?
The women never knew what to say. They would laugh, thinking it was a joke. But before they could answer, Chibuzo would whistle a soft, eerie sound that seemed to float in the air. The women would feel uneasy, like something was about to happen, and that's when it did. Something would shift in the room, and before they could react, they would feel a cold, smooth touch on their skin. A snake, dark and dangerous, would slither out of Chibuzo's wrapper. The women always froze, their fear too strong to scream or run. The snake would wrap itself around them slowly, as if toying with its prey. Then, with a quick strike, it would bite them on the neck. The bite was always the same, two sharp marks, like fangs sinking deep in their skin. The venom would spread quickly. The women would gasp, their bodies shaking as the poison took hold. Within minutes, it was over. They were dead, and Chibuzo was left standing over their lifeless body, his face expressionless. By morning, the woman's body would be found in the village square, cold and pale. The villagers would gather around, shaking their heads, wondering what kind of snake could do such a thing. But no one ever suspected Chibuzo. He was too handsome, too charming, too perfect. Each time another woman died, the fear in the village grew, but Chibuzo didn't care. He continued his life as if nothing was happening. The women would blush and giggle when he walked by, completely unaware of the danger that lurked beneath his good looks and sweet words. Life in Uka went on, even with the fear of hanging over the village. The women were more cautious, especially at night, but the daily routine of fetching water, farming and trading continued. Every time a woman died, people would mourn, but nobody had any answers. The village chief, Chief Obina, tried to keep the village calm, but deep down, everyone knew that something was wrong, and it wasn't just a normal snake causing these deaths. Then one day, a new face appeared in the village, a woman named Adeze. She was different from other women in Uka. Tall and graceful, with skin that shone like polished wood, Adeze carried herself with confidence. Her beauty wasn't just in her face or body, but in the way she moved, as if she wasn't bothered by anything around her. She had come to visit her aunt, who lived on the edge of the village, and almost immediately she caught Chibuzo's attention. Chibuzo noticed Adeze the first time he saw her at the well. Unlike the other women, who couldn't help but stare at him or blush when he passed by, Adeze didn't seem impressed. She didn't giggle, she didn't care, and she didn't even smile at him. Instead, she looked straight past him, her face calm, like she was in control of everything. This intrigued Chibuzo. He wasn't used to being ignored, and Adeze's calmness felt like a challenge to him. He had always been able to win over any woman he wanted, and he wasn't about to let Adeze be the first one to resist him. From that moment, Chibuzo decided that he had to have her. He began to watch Adeze more closely. He noticed that she was always polite but never too friendly. She spoke kindly to people, but she never allowed anyone to get close to her. This only made Chibuzo want her more. He wasn't just interested in her beauty, he was fascinated by her mystery, by her strength. The more he watched her, the more determined he became. Chibuzo wasn't used to failing, and he wasn't about to start now. He began to follow Adeze, looking for opportunities to speak with her, to charm her like he had done with so many others. But each time he approached her, Adeze kept her distance as if she knew something that he didn't. One afternoon, Chibuzo found his chance. Adeze was at the well filling her water pot, and there were fewer people around. Chibuzo walked up to her, his usual confident smile on his face. "Adeze," he said smoothly, his voice deep and sweet like honey. "Let me help you carry that." I glanced at him, her face expressionless. She didn't look impressed by his looks or charm, and this only made Chibuzo more eager. He waited for her to giggle or blush like the others, but instead, she simply nodded. "If you insist," she said calmly, stepping back to let him take the pot.